What up, guys? Welcome to Base Damage, and this week we are back. I'll go ahead and just preface this with what all happened last week, and not trying to do this for pity, not trying to do this for any view reasons or whatever. Seriously, just wanting to inform what all happened. Last week, my dad died, and because I was having to take care of all of that and having to take care of legal shenanigans and all sorts of other stuff, I just decided to take a break from the podcast for a week. Just wanted to let you know that's what had gone on. But everything has gotten back on track with that. I'm actually also going back to school towards getting my CDL. So timing has been a thing, trying to get stuff straight, trying to get everything recorded and planned and whatnot. So today I just wanted to do a little recording by myself. And, we have video again. I have OBS Studio working and trying to, figure out the ins and outs of that. But yeah, that is back together. And I'm hopefully going to be able to start back on doing, depending on how this file works, going back to doing road deck reviews and all sorts of other shenanigans. So yeah. All right. Now, without further ado, let's get into the topic for today. And that is the big elephant in the room, as well as, a couple other things. We're getting ReZero, y'all. We are getting the Trial Deck Plus. I did not actually realize that was a Trial Deck Plus. I'm going to have to go over the Trial Deck Plus later and see what all is in there that's good. But for the most part today, we're going to be discussing the booster pack. And I kind of want to discuss how I felt ReZero may impact English, or may actually end up doing some really awesome stuff or have some interesting options for things. But yeah, we do have a couple other sets that have gotten confirmed dates. I know the last time we discussed, or I had been on here, we hadn't gotten confirmed dates yet for other particular things. We're getting the Love Live Sunshine Trial Deck Plus and EB in May, but they've given us confirmed dates for Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann is July 5th, and then in the same month, thank goodness, hopefully for right now, at the time of this recording, the Bang Dream Girls Band Party, Rosalia Trial Deck Plus, and the booster set for that is coming out July 27th. ReZero does not have a exact sales date just yet, but if nothing else, it is coming to English. Yeah, my wallet cries. My wallet cries so much. So anyway, wanted to get into discussing. We did a set discussion. I think it was me and Matt who had done a set discussion for ReZero. I actually cannot remember if it was like me and him or me and somebody else. I do not recall. So we've actually gone through over every single card in the set already. It is in an earlier podcast. I will look up that podcast. Link for that will be in the description. We did that when the set first got released in Japan, not knowing that it would come over here. But it's kind of good that we did it back then, because now I can go back and look at the cards again, get a better understanding for what I feel will affect or may not affect the meta. And by that, I mean the English meta. Do I think this is going to be the most meta broken set in the world? No. I do feel that it is going to be fairly good, though, for reasons I will present. I don't think it's going to break the English meta by any means of the imagination. Although I do, and that once again, I realize this is my opinion, putting my opinion out there in the internet. I don't care. I'm just doing this because I want to. I do feel that this will have some very interesting stuff. I personally do plan to invest in this for multiple reasons and pick up this set to test quite a few different deck builds and do some fun shenanigans with it. Also, JP has I know it has announced, it just does not have a release date. They're supposedly doing a second set for ReZero, so maybe that means we'll get the second set for this whenever Japan gets it. We may also end up getting the second set as well at some point in English, maybe by next year or something of that nature. I don't know, but excuse me. So I have water. I'm going to be talking a lot, but we're going to try to get through this as best as possible. So much better. Okay. So like I said, those are the sets that are confirmed coming out. If we go over here, sorry, leaving the Weiss page to go to Heart of the Cards. Thank y'all very much. first off, just kind of pointing out, I'm going to try not to scroll too terribly fast because I'm still getting used to Studio. I don't know how well it'll pick it up. ReZero has 3 colors, yellow, red, and blue. However, it's not an extra booster, it is a full set, to my understanding. Blue being the most prominent color in there. Let's see. We do go all the way to 100 cards. It doesn't look like there's any promos, though. Oh my god, like a Chibi Rem or a Chibi Amelia would be so fucking adorable. Oh god. Anyway, so we are going to start off with some blue cards, or with a blue card, and then kind of work our way through. As you can see by the profuse amounts of tabs that I have, or a portion of the tabs that I have. So, let's see. To start over with this, to go over this, I'm only going to be going over like a handful of cards. Honestly, I also want to try to bring in a little bit of viewer interaction with this as well. So if any of y'all feel that there was another card or another combo or something that you feel that should be mentioned, but I didn't go over it, like I did go back over the entire set and just tried to pick what I felt were the major ones, please do comment it for other people to see. Comment other combos, other potential deck setups that you yourself may feel to be, interesting setup or whatever. Just please, comment it. Let other people know so we can get people looking into this set, because I do want people to take a look at this because it's really, really awesome series. Although I did cry several times. Anyway, a very, very powerful series if I should go that far as far as like the anime. But I should start off with saying also, let's face it, if we go to discuss the English meta, what's the first thing that's going to pop up to people? AOT, Attack on fucking Titan. Straight up. I mean, sure, not to try to suck its dick by any means of the imagination, but you got to admit, AOT is essentially the meta deck for English. But not for the reason that I feel people think it. Some people may say that it's meta for one reason or the other. My biggest thing that I feel for AOT is the fact of it being able to deny combos. And I'll get to that in a second. But it ties into the first card that I want to go over, the Emilia Silver-Haired Bishojo. It is a level 1, 0 cost, 5k. Also kind of cute. The Climax combo, I think, is a 1k1 book trigger that it combos with. But it has only one effect. It's a really awesome effect. When it attacks, if starting life in another world from scratch is in the Climax area and you have 3 or more other characters with either magic or weapon, really easy to pull off, look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, search for up to 1 character with magic or weapon in it, reveal, put into your hand, put the rest into your waiting room, and this gains 1,000 power for the turn. Okay, so let's analyze this here. It's on attack, you look at up to 4 cards, and she gets a boost. You can get any one card from them that's, or any one character amongst it that is a magic or weapon. So this is also really reminiscent to another card from Idolmaster, the level 1 Nita Minami. To summarize, also has a Climax combo, gets buff off of effects. On reverse of the battle opponent, you can do the same thing where you look at the top 4 cards, grab a music character, and then you can give any one of your characters plus 2,000 power until the end of the turn. So if you have multiple Nita Minamis, they do get bigger than the Emilias overall. But let's look at base power. The Emilia is a 5k, the Climax is a 1k1, she becomes a 6, her own ability makes her a 7. Nita Minami starts off as a 45, gets plus 15 when a Climax gets played, I think a blue Climax specifically, could be wrong on that. And then the Climax gives her another 1k buff. So they both end up being 7k base before reversing. Now once the Nita Minami does a reverse, they can make another Nita Minami become like a 9k. So vastly bigger, but it's because of the trade-off, and the trade-off being the fact that that Nita Minami has to reverse. That's where I think this Emilia becomes so strong as a plussing engine, because it's just on attack. It does not have to reverse, and that is where I feel is going to be one of the big things. AOT denies on reverse effects, whether that be plussing combos, Shimakaze, the Nita Minami, like I just stated, quite a few other ones, just 2 finisher combos, whether that be um, clock shoots like Akagi Kai, on reverse burn, on reverse whatever, just anything on reverse, AOT denies it advantage, and those effects in general, in some way, shape, or form through various effects. And if you try to deny this, you're just fooling yourself. Come on, just be honest here. Um, but I mean, there may be other effects between the level 1 Aaron that bounces back to the hand off of its own effect, between the two different types of maneuver gear, the omnidirectional mobility gear, and there may be another effect I'm not thinking of, and I apologize if I'm misremembering. Big level 1 runner Sasha. No, I'm just kidding. Hell, I run those. Anyway, because this Amelia does her plussing combo on attack, it makes her that much more valuable in the English meta, which is comparable to, kind of, not to the same degree. I still feel that one of the best plussing engines in the game is Zek and Yuki. And once again, I'll just specifically say for English specifically, I feel that Zek and Yuki from SAO is one of the best plussing engines that you can ever get. It's one of the reasons that SAO can put so many different splashes of 1 copies of cards in their decks, is because Zek and Yuki just doesn't care. she'll grab 2 different cards and just is like, Avatar net, you're good, whatever. So the biggest drawback also with Zek and Yuki being so weak makes her a target for on reverse effects. Sure, but we'll get into a Zek and Yuki discussion another day. But it's the fact of also Zek and Yuki and Last Shot Xenon don't require on reverse combos, which is why one of the SAO decks, not just Last Shot Xenon, not just switch combo, stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that SAO can do that doesn't require on reverse, and that's why it's able to, what I feel, able to contend just as much with AOT, even though AOT still ends up winning in the end. But because of that, I feel that this becomes a viable plussing engine because of this Amelia and the fact that it's on attack. Sure, the Aarons will still bounce back. Sure, they can still save their characters. Whatever, you don't lose out on advantage. You don't waste hand to just get denied it in the end, which just seems to happen. So, anyway, that is the first of many cards. But I thought this was really cool, and we're just going to go ahead and bounce out of blue real quick to go to yellow. Just pointing this out because I thought this was really cool, and a lot of the meta decks for various sets end up having runners in some way, shape, or form at level 0, and this level 0 felt is a mill runner. I just thought that was really cool, wanted to point it out. And I believe it works for a majority of the different types in the set, because I think a lot of the different stuff in the set states magic or weapon. So, yeah. Anywho, wanted to point that out, and I just thought it was a very valid thing to point out. Because if you can't get this off, you can potentially deny your opponent also other advantage, or be able to have runners are good. Just if you think wrong, get over it. Like I said, I don't mind constructive criticism, but when you got to point out stuff, it's whatever. Anywho, I shouldn't be saying stuff like that, so I will just simply instead state, I think that mill runners are good. If you disagree, that is up to you. So, the next one being, I just think this is such a funny fucking card. Sure, there's ways to end up playing around this, kind of, but it's still an annoying card to have to deal with. The Reinhard Sword Saint. This is a level 3 cost motherfucker. So first off, it has Bodyguard. Because the Bodyguard is not explained here, I'll just go ahead and go over it. Bodyguard states that if the character is in the middle position of your center stage, as long as it is not reversed, your opponent has to have all of their characters attack it, and all of the attacks become frontal attacks. Yeah, so that alone makes him really good as a level 3. The level 3 Naosugu from Log Horizon was the first time I had really seen this effect in English, as far as what I recall. If there was another card before that, I did not see it. So, but this thing has a wall of text. So, outside of Bodyguard, it has another ability called Experience. If the sum of the level of cards in your level zone is 6 or higher, and that's very easy to do. You could just put 2 level 3s in your level. You could put 3 level 2s in your level. blah. There's ways to go about it. A 1, a 2, and a 3. But getting an experience of 6 is actually not difficult. Bakemonogatari had some stuff where it was like experience of 9. So, but if your experience is 6 or higher and you have no other characters, that is the drawback to it. But look at these effects. If you have no other characters, so basically you can put them in the middle center of the stage. It's just it's insane. Put him in middle center of the stage. He has bodyguard. Plus 10,000 power becomes a 20k and gets the following 5 abilities. Cannot be chosen as target of opponent's effects and cannot be reversed by effects of auto abilities of your opponent's characters. Damn. During battles involving this, your opponent cannot play events or backup from hand. He's just literally just saying, it's as if he's holding a giant middle finger. When the battle opponent of this becomes reversed, you may send that character to memory. You don't have to, but it's an option. It's the fact of, ow. Also, when the battle opponent of this becomes reversed, you may pay the cost, which is discarding a card. If you do, deal 1 damage to your opponent. And at the start of your opponent's attack phase, you may move this to an empty slot in your front row. So you can put him back into the middle center if something were to happen. One of the things someone tried to point out to me that could counter this would be the Nagato from Haruhi. There's a Nagato that on play, you pay a cost, you take all of your opponent's characters and move them to a different, put them into memory first, so they lose like buffs, they lose other various effects, and then they come back in, but you get to choose where you place them. Even if you do that with with the Nagato, this effect still just lets you put it right back into the middle center, and it has bodyguard active again. This is not the strongest card in the world. Sure, it has a wall of text that may look intimidating, but your opponent can't have other cards. As soon as your opponent goes to assume that this stays up there for the turn, and you essentially just have to throw down a bunch of characters to weenie rush. It means that because bodyguard makes it so you have to frontal attack, your characters attacking a fucking 20k are more than likely going to get reversed. So, that being said, you're not going to have characters. Your opponent's not going to be able to get rid of their own characters if they want to play anything other than their Reinhardt. Well, meanwhile, you're still able to throw stuff at a wall and see if damage sticks by level 3. So if your opponent ends up wanting to try to play anything outside of the Reinhardt without being able to like crash small characters into your characters, sure, then the Reinhardt's going to lose its effects and just go back down to a 10k. I'm going to be trying to look into other cards that could counter this, but it's kind of whatever, because as long as this goes off for like a turn, you've gained advantage in some way, shape, or form. I just think it's a card that people should look out for. I feel that it is going to be a big rogue thing, and I personally plan to mess with this card. The wall of text is just a bitch, first off, sure. But when my opponent's like, what does that do? I'm not going to try to sit there and explain it to them. I'm going to hand them the fucking card, and they're going to read it. If they don't want to read it, that's tough nuts for them. If I just want to say too much card text, I don't want to explain all this. It's whatever. I realize you're supposed to be able to tell your opponent the effects, but if your opponent can't read, they don't need to be playing this card game. Anyway, so I don't feel that this is the most broken thing in the world, but I do feel that it's going to catch some people off guard. But it'll be funny to do. Straight up, it'll be fun. So, moving right along, the level 3 Ram, pink-haired maid. She's very adorable. I sometimes like to refer to her as pink-haired Rem. It just, it's kind of whatever. So 3/2/9/5. Also a double rare. Sorry, but majority of these cards have been like double rares. The Reinhardt was a rare. The Amelia and the Felt were double rares, I think. When this is placed from stage to hand, you can look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck. Choose one of them, put into your hand. So, digging effect, really good off the bat. When Natsuki Subaru Decoy Operation is placed in your Climax Zone, if this is in your front row, Climax Combo. I need to see what that is. Pardon me for just a moment. Natsuki Subaru Decoy Operation. I'm hoping that this is a 1k1 salvage. Come on. Yep, okay. 1k1 salvage, just saying. And looks like she's throwing people. So, anywho. So, Climax Combo. When the Climax gets played, no cost to this, first off. Just pointing that out. choose up to 2 cards in your opponent's waiting room. Return them to the library. Your opponent shuffles that library, and this gains 3,000 power for the turn. So a really nice dig effect, a really nice buff, and basically it decompresses your opponent. Whereas some people try to look at the varying types of compression that you can do, and you try to get just a very small deck with a lot of climaxes in there. This completely changes that around. It makes it so it adds cards to your opponent's deck, but because you can choose up to 2 cards from your opponent's waiting room, you're obviously going to choose climaxes off of this. So if you choose 2 of your opponent's climaxes, like I say, they're like close to refresh anyway, and they would have like 7 climaxes going back in or something like that. I don't know, whatever. You make it so they go back in with less climaxes. Sure, they don't take a refresh damage. That's fine, though. It makes it, probability makes it so more often than not, in the end, you can make this, make it so your opponent has higher chances of taking damage. What if they're holding onto a climax in hand? What if they are, what if they have a climax in the stock? Like, assume that they have like one other one out of the deck, and then you take 2 more out of the waiting room, and then put the rest of the stuff back into the deck. Assume that they possibly have, minimum of 2 because of the effect, at least 3 climaxes not going back into the deck. And that's, you know, that's like minimum conditions. Minimum, you're getting 2 and not going back into the deck. And you can obviously count beforehand. But if you can make it so your opponent only has like 4 or 5 climaxes in a very large deck, you're going to make a lot of damage stick, which is awesome. So, and then the last effect doesn't have to have a climax combo, so this is actually kind of good, even though it's a higher cost. When this attacks, you can pay 2 and pitch 1 to deal 1 damage to your opponent. It's not that bad because that stock cost is actually not that bad, to be completely and totally honest. Excuse me. And like, if you absolutely just need to deal 1 damage to your opponent to win, by all means, this is not a bad cost. I've seen worse. So I've seen worse on less. So, really, really awesome decompression effect that also ends up buffing her. So she's, if you do the climax combo, she gets 1k1. So she's a 10-5. And then she's plus 3, she's a 13-5 before anything else. Just saying. That's pretty cool. And once again, does not require on reverse for any of this to go off. So I feel that this is a really good in-game climax combo. Sure, you're not going to do like triple clock shoot or multiple last shot seen on Mikasa burn type shenanigans, but I still think this is really cool in trying to confirm that your opponent is going to take damage in a game about a lot about probability that involves so much probability. I'll get my words straight in a bit here. You're getting your words mixed up. Shut up. In a game that is so much about probability, this drastically changes probability on your opponent's side. So I thought this was really cool. Like I said, it may not be the most broke thing in the world, but I plan to use it and I plan to mess around with it. So you're just gonna hear me saying that a lot for this video. Next, getting into the some of the REM cards. REM Blue-Haired Maid is level 3, 2 cost 95 as well. First off, it's an early play. If there are 2 or fewer climax cards in your waiting room, gets -1 level in hand. Not bad. Fairly easy to pull off. For every marker she has, she gets 1,000 power. She also heals 1 on play, so early play heals is definitely not bad. I'm sorry, give me 1 moment to get some water. So, sorry. Throat becoming a little dry because I'm just talking so much. Okay, so, but it states it gets power from markers. How do you get the markers? When the battle opponent of this becomes reversed, you may choose a character with either magic or weapon in your waiting room. Put it face down under this as a marker. This is whenever. So if you happen to kill something, well, this isn't like a finisher. This is just funny. 1, early play heals, always good. If you end up being able to reverse your opponent or they ram into you, ram, bad jokes. If they end up tossing a character, suiciding a character into her, her effect still goes off, and it helps put markers under her to do compression. It's funny that REM creates a form of compression by putting markers under her, and Ram makes your opponent get rid of their compression. I thought that was kind of funky. So it's just, you know, two sides of the same coin, right? I don't know. So really good early play though, and because it is also one of the double rares, I feel that this is probably going to be one of the cards people try to pick up, not just because of the whole waifu concept. Between this and Amelia, there's quite a few good waifu cards, and I know people are going to be after that. So next is another double rare. So this is also probably going to be very, very pricey because of how good this effect is. Rim Stable Normal Life is a 0015. So first effect. On play, you can pay the cost, which is pay 1, deal yourself a damage from the top of the deck. If you do, search your library for up to 1 level 1 or lower character added to your hand. So first off, a lot of people refer to this as a Riki clone effect, basically stating another character from a different set with a very similar effect. But this just straight says level 1 or lower character. So remember that level 1 Amelia? Guess who the fuck you're grabbing with this effect. I'm just saying. Sure, there's a lot of combos that you can do, and there's a lot of utility that you can end up doing with this by grabbing level 1 or lower characters, various combos, various things you can do. Grab more copies of her, play another copy of her, it's whatever. And then you end up at level 0 giving yourself a little bit more damage, pushing yourself to level 1 quicker. Always good. Getting combo pieces at level 1, getting pushed to level 1 quicker, all effects that are very good. And then when she attacks, you can put the top card of your library in the waiting room. If it's a climax card, you draw a card and then discard a card from your hand to the waiting room. So if you end up milling a climax off of this effect, you can hand filter a bit. You can draw and then pitch another card. So that second effect is still pretty cool, but it's the fact if you have to mill a climax off of that, and you know there's only 8 in the deck, there's not going to be the high chances of that going off at any point in time. But that's not why you play the card. You play the card because of this, and this can be played in any of the versions of the deck, or in any versions of any ReZero deck. This can more than likely become a staple depending on what your combos are going to be. So I say the Amelia was probably going to be the most expensive card. If that isn't the most expensive card, this will probably be the most expensive card in ReZero. I say that, and then I realize, oh wait, there's Rem SPs. Let me restate. Non-shiny, non-signed cards. Of those cards, this or the Amelia for utility use, this is going to be up there in price. This is going to definitely be up there. At least it is for me, because I'm going to be trying to get a playset. Anyway, so, and also it's really cute, little kitty on the head. Anyway, so this is one of those other just really good utility cards, can be splashed into any of the decks that you try to run. And because it doesn't trait restrict, because I think the Riki clone, I think the Riki and or there's another card in Idolmaster that does basically the same effect, but I think I say it limits, but it only grabs music characters. What are you saying, Billy? Idolmaster is just music characters. Sure, then it doesn't matter. But in a non-music world, in a deck that mainly focuses on just particular traits, this just grabs any character, doesn't trait restrict, in case that were to be an issue, but I don't think that's going to be an issue for ReZero. So, next, okay, I'm definitely going to take a swig of water for this one, because another big mouthful of effects. So, well, you get to look at Subaru, who is fantastic as fuck. So, ooh, much better. Okay, I can talk again. So, Natsuki Subaru, level 3, 2 cost, 3,000 power. 3 soul, just pointing that out because sometimes I've missed that. The Reinhardt was also just 2 soul. So, this thing's a weird little piece of shit. Yeah, we're just going to start off saying that. Remember that bodyguard effect I was telling you about earlier? Yeah, this has that. So, keep this in mind because it has something to do with later stuff. Now, because of order of operations, because of what is going to happen first, I'm going to go over the third effect before I go over the second effect. So, recollection. 2 different recollection effects. At the start of your encore step, if returns by death, is in your memory, and this is reversed. You can pay the cost. Returns by Death is a level, I think it's a level 1, might be a level 2. Anyway, it's an event. The event does some shenanigans and ends up going to the memory as a result of. And so, continuing on discussing this, that has to be in the memory, and this has to be reversed. This is only 3,000 power, kids, and it has Bodyguard. What this means is your opponent is gonna, more than likely, whatever they decide to play, gonna get over this card. You basically have to have removal, or else this is gonna do stupid shit. If your opponent does not have removal, though, whatever they play is gonna get over this card. Because of Bodyguard making all of their attacks become frontal attacks, this is more than likely gonna get reversed. So, the cost, paying 7 stock and discarding Oni-like Fanatical Methods and 4 other cards from your hand to the waiting room. What the fuck, Weiss? Bushiroad. What the fuck? Oni-like Fanatical Methods. Let me double check this. I think it is a climax. Double checking. Scrolling. Actually, I'm also gonna pull up the Return by Death ability. Okay, Oni-like Fanatical Methods is a climax. We're going to check that in a second. And Returns by Death is an event, so we're going to pull that up. And let's see. Oni-like Fanatical Methods is a 1k1 pants trigger. Not difficult to get because of the pants effect. We'll come back to Returns by Death. Okay, it's a level 1. So you pay 7 stock, you discard a climax, and you discard 4 other cards. You end up using 5 plus 7, 12 resources. I had to count. If so, put all cards from your clock in the waiting room, and all players return all characters to their hands, and return all cards in their waiting rooms to their respective libraries. Afterwards, search your library for up to 1 Natsuki Subaru, put it in the slot this was in, and shuffle all libraries. Okay. What's in your clock? Oh, doesn't matter. It's healed. Then all of your characters bounce back to your hands. This doesn't because, I'm sorry, I actually did not finish this. You discard 4 of the cards and you send this to memory. This is the only card you're going to have that isn't going to get sent back. Because of the Bodyguard effect, doesn't go into effect once, or is no longer in effect once this becomes reversed. All it has to do is become reversed. And then your opponent can attack your other characters. But if they are reversed, it doesn't matter. Because this is going to save those characters and then summon back another Natsuki Subaru. You can just suicide with this and not give a fuck. But you get to heal off any damage that you're at. Let's say if you're like 3-6 or whatever, heal off all that damage. It doesn't matter. Then you get all your characters back and you get a free refresh. Then you get another copy of this out on the field. This is a really weird effect. So you're going to look at it and go, why the fuck would I pay this big ass cost? And I would almost sit there and agree with you, like, this is fairly stupid. Let's just be real here. This is fairly fucking stupid. But I still feel that it's something people are going to have to watch out for, because this ended up becoming, like, to my knowledge, and my knowledge of JP stuff is limited, this ended up becoming sort of a problem in JP because people just wanted to do this for shenanigans purposes. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If anybody wants to correct me on this, by all means, I don't care. Post it in the comments. Like I said, share your thoughts. If you think this is a good card or not, it's whatever. I think it's a funny effect. Anyway. Next is the second ability at the start of your climax phase, if Natsuki Subaru is in your memory. So you get another copy of this on the field, and now you have the previous copy of this in the memory now. So then this goes off. So at the start of your climax phase, if you got that, choose one of your characters with either magic or weapon, and that character gains the ability for the turn that when it attacks, you can deal 1 damage to your opponent. That's kind of cool, because if you end up playing multiple Natsuki Subarus, you can have this go off multiple times, which is really cool if you think about it. Admittedly, that means this effect has to go off in some way, shape, or form, and you have to survive a turn at level 3, but I don't care. Like I said, this is not the greatest thing in the world. This is only a rare, sure. This is not going to do that much. This is not one of those game-breaking cards, but I still feel that people are going to see this, and people are going to mess around with it. I'm going to mess around with it. I'm going to try shenanigans. So yeah, I just wanted to point this out for people who didn't watch the discussion video just yet. This exists, and this is some funny stuff to me. Personal opinion, whatever. And that is it. Okay, no, returns by death. Almost fucked up there. Okay, so it's a 1/1 blue event. It's a brainstorm. You flip over the top 3 cards of your library, put them into the waiting room, choose a level X or lower character with magic or weapon, return it to your hand. X is equal to the number of characters with magic or weapon revealed this way by the mill 3. Choose one of your characters. That character gets 2,000 power for the turn, and then you send this to your memory. So for 1 stock, you salvage something and give something a buff, which is really nice, and depends on what you want to get. But if you don't mill any magic or weapon characters, you can still get a level 0. Because it says level X or lower. So if what you reveal is 0 magic or weapon characters, you still can grab a level 0. Say if you want to grab back a Brainstormer or whatever. So this event is not bad. This event is not the greatest in the world, but this is what sets up for that level 3 Subaru. And then you can give somebody a buff, which is always cool. So if you have the Amelia combo or whatever, go ahead, do that. Grab back an Amelia if you want to. Like, this can be done at level 1. You could get back that level 1 Amelia off of this effect. You play another one first to give her a buff. Then she becomes like a 9K, like that ContainsAnime earlier. Synergy. Anyway, so a lot of stuff you can do for this. I'm just going back to the title thing here. There's I'll go back to the set. There's other funny stuff in here. There's a level 3 Amelia that does some shenanigans. It's pretty cool. It's like a faux restander effect, but it does require on reverse stuff. The Ram and Rim setup is kind of cool. There's like a whole made deck that you can do with Ram. I think Beatrice. There's a level 3 Betty. Let me see if I can find that real quick just to give her a shout out, because I know Matt would be upset at me otherwise, because Betty is adorable. Kashira. I think it's Lovely Girl. And then there's Roswell, who just works with them like really well. It's kind of cool. Of course, going back to yellow, there's some really good felt cards. There's a level 2 felt that does a free refresh effect with a search and then an early play condition to be able to pull out a level 3 felt. It does so much stuff in one shot, and then the level 3 felt does even more. It's just really cool, and I thought it was an interesting effect. But it's also like a wall of text. Actually, fuck it, it's probably the slums. So let's go ahead over that. Anyway, so the Beatrice is a 3/2 9K. Okay, it's like a recollection effect to be able to do some swapping shenanigans, which is kind of cool. But either way, she's kind of cool. Also, I think Tier 1 TCG, I think is one of his favorite cards was also Betty from from ReZero. So shout outs to you, my dude. Yeah, okay, here we go. Felt Pride of the Slums. It's a 2/1. You discard the climax for the combo when it's placed on stage from hand. You place that, you discard that, and you pitch her. You can only do this if there are 5 or more cards in your library. Return all cards to your waiting room to your library. Then search your library for one character with Felt, Old Man Rom, or Reinhardt in name. Reveal it, put it into your hand. Then search your library for that level 3. Put it on the slot that this was in. And she gains an additional 1,000 power for the turn, which is really cool. So you can go ahead and like grab that level 3 Reinhardt or another Felt or whatever you feel is necessary. I just think it's a really cool refresh option that ends up getting you back quite a bit. Like, you pay 1 stock to summon her, and then you discard the climax. So you technically paid 2 cards from hand to get 1 card back to hand and then summon an even bigger character. And then that Felt, let me see if I can, I think it was the very first one. Felt, yeah, candidate for the royal election. Candidate for the royal election ends up having a really cool effect to be able to get back some stock. When this attacks, search your library for a magic or weapon, put into your stock, shuffle your library. Weird, but it's a compression ability. It also has a cancel burn effect. On attack, you can choose one of your characters to give them a cancel burn for the turn, which is kind of cool. But like, overall, she doesn't get but so big. Like, she becomes a 10-5 if you have enough magic weapon, and then her level 2 effect would make her an 11-5. So yeah, I like the free fresh combo. I like a lot of the combos that this set can do. There's more stuff. Like I said, if there's something that you felt needed to be stated in this, by all means, post it up, my dude. I don't care. Just comment it. I'll see the comments and be like, hey, that's a good thing to point out. Speaking of pointing out stuff, Timmy couldn't be here for this because of timing issues on my part. That's my fault. I fell asleep early last night, and he wanted to offer up a sincere apology, stating that he stated that ReZero would never come to English, and he says, I'm going to have to apologize and state how horribly wrong I was. So I'll let him do that then next time he hops on here. I realize there's probably still like some time I could talk and I could, say some more stuff. Final thoughts on this. Is this going to wreck the English meta? I don't think so. Is it going to help the English meta? I think yes, to a degree. Having stuff that doesn't require on reverse combos for like some of the main stuff for the deck is something that I feel that English Weiss needs more of, instead of just limited to like SAO. And I think Bang Dream still has some like on reverse combos, but like from the stuff I've messed with outside of Glitter Green has like on reverse combos from hell. But just way too many. AOT just eats that shit up and is just like, yes. But I do feel that there are other sets that do not have as many on reverse combos, but this set has quite a few good ones that do not require on reverse. And that, I don't want to say it's like a middle fingered AOT, but it is kind of one of those, like, it's the thing of AOT looking at it as like, all right, who else wants to face me? ReZero walks in. You're here. Let's do this. So, because that is one of the annoying things. If you drop X amount of cards from hand trying to get advantage, and your opponent's able to deny half or all of it with AOT, it's like you just wasted so much hand. Or you have to limit how much you use. It's a lot of stuff to do with that AOT is able to do. And I don't want to have to base the entire English meta off of just AOT. But a lot of the stuff I'm trying to work up now, deck-wise, a lot of the stuff that I try to tell people, hey, or like if someone asks me, what's a really good set? I'm going to point and look at them and go, SAO and AOT are really good sets. But I would definitely very much like to be able to point them to this and be like, hey, check out ReZero. Admittedly, by the time we get this, we're already going to have Gurren Lagann, which I do feel has some really good cards that can also interrupt AOT and do some other shenanigans. Me and Frank ended up talking about that in the podcast and going over a lot of the Gurren Lagann stuff. So I think Gurren Lagann is also going to do some, like, have a bit of an impact. I say a bit of, but have some kind of impact on it, on the English meta. Obviously, the new Bang Dream Girls Band Party is going to be out. I do feel that this set is also going to suffer from another issue, and that is it's older. It's like Persona 5 suffered from this as well, because Persona 5 ended up coming out at the tail end of 2016, and then there was so much other shit that came out after that we got way before Persona 5. Obviously, like the AOT stuff, the other SAO stuff. And it's a thing of Persona 5 kind of suffers from being an older set, even though it's still really good and can do some crazy shenanigans. Excuse me. It's also... ReZero is just as old, if I'm not mistaken. I think it came out in 2016. Let me double check. It's not going to show me up here, is it? I can go set info. I'm just got to be scrolling while I'm still talking, so forgive me for a sec. Oh, yeah, Magia record. Yay, for more Madoka Magica. Oh, wow. Good point. Oh, yeah, Timmy was also sad because we're probably not going to get that. Oh, we got confirmation for Darling in the Franxx. Or at least the Trial Deck Plus. That'll be out in June. Anyway. So let me see how far back I can go for this and try to find when ReZero came out. All right, so I'm already back in 2017. Oh wow, this goes down for a bit. Let's just do Control F, ReZero. Okay, okay, nowhere near as far back as I thought it was. I actually thought it was way farther back. So no, it came out in 2017, or at least that's the Trodec Plus did. Oh, let's ReZero. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's weird. Okay, so the regular trial deck, it got a trial deck. Oh, okay, it got a trial deck plus in like July. Okay, so the actual booster set and this trial deck, I don't think it said we're getting the trial deck plus. So we're getting this trial deck plus, to my knowledge. Could be wrong. Which is going to have some good cards. And we're getting this. We may still end up getting this too. I don't know. So this came out at the beginning of 2017, essentially like a month and a half, or a month and a half or so after Persona 5. So this is just as old as Persona 5. Almost. It is not as much, but it's still over a year old in JP alone. Since we also don't have an exact release date, assume this is going to come out later in the year. So like mid to late fall, maybe. So that is going to be kind of a thing. So it does state that this is also a much older set. I say old, but it's over a year and a half by the time we'll get this. To which more stuff has come out since then. So it's going to have... It's not going to have the biggest advantage, sure, but I still feel that it's going to do stuff. I very much am going to like this set, and my wallet is going to suffer. Because, yes, I'm going to be getting some of my favorite girls and whatnot. Anyway, so yes, I'm a filthy, filthy individual. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and be ending this. Thank y'all very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. Once again, I apologize for having paused for a week as far as like having a week off. But we've also been insanely consistent on this channel. I think we can afford or deal with taking 1 week off. Otherwise, I've been putting out like a podcast a week, at least a podcast a week, very consistently for a long time. Anyway, so podcast number 79. Thank y'all very much for listening. Please subscribe if you want. If not, hey, just thanks for listening to me rant about a fantastic child going to a world with very fabulous women. Hey, that's never happened in anime before. Anyway, if you want to subscribe, cool. If not, it's whatever. Like I said, also shout outs. Who was it? Shout outs to people who don't remember how to, give me a shout out for my channel, no matter how many times they've been on the podcast. When people are like, hey, what YouTubers should we check out? And they list everybody else. And it's just like, bro, weren't you on my channel first? The fuck? No, I'm just kidding. I'm fucking with you, dude. And anyway, that is all for now. We will see y'all on the flip side. Peace.